Hello, ladies. Welcome to this premiere season of Soul on Fire, the podcast for truly wise women. I have a special treat for you today, and amazing guest. You know that I love connecting with women, helping other women soar and get their perspective on the coaching industry, the processes we use, and also endless possibilities of collaboration. So my gorgeous guest today is the one and only Julie Richie.
Hello, hi.
Hello. I'm very excited about this. I know that Julie helps coaches and service-based female entrepreneurs to create their first six-figure year and create clients, first of all. She also loves talking about feminine energy in business, and we are certainly going to dive there deeper today. I'm super excited for this conversation because Julie and we share the passion to simplify the things in business for women out there. And what's beautiful is the fact that this simplification can have many faces, and we are certainly going to show you few today and speak about them today. So today on the show, we are going to speak specifically about two action takers, women committed to give their best service to the world, women ready for sustainable business. And what's interesting is that sometimes these otherwise extraordinary entrepreneurs feel a little bit lost on their journey. This confusion sometimes is experienced by a stuckness or over paralysis of inaction. And it becomes present, especially when these women, coaches, entrepreneurs, intuitives, they educate themselves. So they follow many people, they follow communities, Facebook groups, they try to follow a lot of shiny objects, I would like to say, in the online arena, and they try to implement what they learn about. But at the same time, they worry that things don't happen fast enough. So Julie, let's open up our discussion with your perspective on why so many people struggle to get clients these days.
Yes, a great question. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this conversation. I know that we share so many values. So yeah, to your point, I think that sometimes, people come into the industry and they are trained as coaches or whatever they are trained in, and they're great at what they do, but they maybe are not so strong on the business side. And they have this idea that they will just hang out their mantle and the clients will come. Unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. And particularly in the busy online world with so much noise and so much going on. And as you said, people can really begin to feel stuck and overwhelmed. Oftentimes, and I've done this myself in the past, we are sort of watching what the gurus are doing and trying to reinvent it ourselves. But the reason that doesn't work is because you don't know all the moving parts that are going on behind the scenes with that particular strategy. So that doesn't work, and it can be very frustrating. And I remember even in my own journey being in a business coaching program, and it was a great program, don't get me wrong, but there was so much information and there were so many different things you could and should do for marketing, and I found myself like an octopus on roller skates, trying to do all the things, networking. I was trying to do a podcast, trying to write a book, which was not appropriate for the stage of business that I was at. I was on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, just all over the place. But I wasn't focused. I wasn't following one clear strategy. And it really slowed me down and kept me stuck for a long time. So I do think that that is why a lot of people struggle. And in my own journey, the turning point came where I threw up my hands in frustration, because it can be so frustrating, because we feel like we're working really, really hard, taking lots of action, and nothing is really happening. So I threw up my hands and I said, just stop. And I had created a few clients. So I said, all right, let me stop doing all this frenetic activity. Let me look at what actually led to these clients coming and working with me. And I discovered a few things. First of all, it's better when you slow down and take a breath. And then the other thing was, there were just 4 activities that actually led to clients. And that was the birth of my program, Fierce Feminine and Free, and everything that I teach now about client creation.
Amazing, amazing. And I love this thought about slowing down and allowing things to happen your way, because from my perspective as well, it took me a few years really to understand it. And I have the feeling like the more I'm slowing down and the more I'm relaxing, the better it gets. And there is still room for improvement, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's always, I don't want to say we are chasing something, but it's about really allowing and letting in this peace and harmony and ease. And I'm really interested, I'm curious about how did it happen in your business. So maybe you can let us know how did you land, being where you are currently.
Yeah, well, I think it's such a great point you make. And, if I rewind all the way back to the beginning, if you like, the reason I got into this, I used to be a fitness instructor and a health coach, and I wanted to travel. So initially, I was looking for a way to travel that I could earn money while I went around.
Oh.
And I always loved serving people. Anyway, coaching kind of dropped onto my radar, and I did a coaching program. And I had a little bit of success, brought on some clients. I went traveling with my husband. At the time, we were going around France and Italy, and it was really fun. But I was investing a lot of money in coaching and training, and went into a real feast and famine with clients. So, one month I'd sign a client and we'd literally be feasting at the French farmhouse table, because we were house sitting, and, French cheeses and French stick. And the next month I wouldn't sign any clients, and I was the only one working, and we wouldn't have the petrol money, the gas money to get to the next house sitting gig. So, when we came back to the UK, we actually went through a divorce, and I remember at my lowest point being in my parents' tiny spare bedroom back at home in my 30s. I felt like such a loser. Yeah, and didn't have any clients, didn't have any confidence, and a mountain of debt is what I had. But I went back and got a job for a little bit, and I was working as head online marketer for an animal charity. It's where I met my dog, so silver lining. Um, you probably know, once you've been self-employed, I didn't make a good employee. I was plotting my escape, but I knew I had to figure out this client creation thing. And so, to your point of the kind of the doing, that was very much how I went at it at first. And I was just like, tell me what to do and I'll take the action. And that's okay, but that's very, very masculine energy. And if you operate purely that way for a long period of time, you will burn out. And that's what was happening to me. So, the story has a happy ending. I was able to relaunch my business, and I was able to create clients. And then, but it was only once I had that moment where I slowed down and I just stopped. And this is the feminine, right? Allowing the feminine in. So take a breath, slow down to speed up. And it's only from that space that we can hear divine guidance, divine intuition. And from that space, I got clarity on what I needed to do in my business. And then I had my first 6-figure year in my coaching business. So it was beautiful. And that is why I love to talk about balancing the masculine and the feminine in business.
Absolutely. And I think that this is creating a big breakthroughs in people's life, because somehow we are conditioned to be like a man, speak like a man, behave like a man, right? And I remember from my corporate time, it was like pretend to be another man, even though I was the only woman out
Wow.
there. And obviously, the side effects, as burnout that you are talking about, is like super frequent out there. But let's talk about the process that you created. You mentioned the 4-step process that is
Yeah, I'm
helping women.
happy to share. And just on what you said, I wanted to say as well, I don't think our systems as women are set up the same way as men. So, you know, you can understand sort of trying to be that way. Certainly in the 80s and things like that, we thought we had to be like men to succeed. And that must have been a tough break being the only woman in your corporate
It was, yeah,
role.
it wasn't
Yeah.
fun
I,
at
I,
all.
can, I can imagine, but I just don't believe that as women, our systems are set up to work that way. We are cyclical. We have a cycle. Our energies are higher at some points in the month and lower at others. So I really love to work with my cycle. And it isn't about saying, oh, all masculine energy is bad. And, you know, we need both. We need the masculine structures, actions. And what I'll share in a minute is, you know, the steps based in masculine energy. At the same time, what I've come to discover for me is I need the feminine and I enjoy the feminine. And that is like the juice behind it. It's like the power that really powers the strategy and makes it work. And for me, I found that the masculine strategies and steps without the feminine, it lacked power. It was very dry. There was no room for creativity.
Mm.
And that wasn't a fun way to do business. So, you know, hence do business like a woman. But to your question of the activities, so the 4 client creation activities that I see working over and over for people to create clients on a consistent basis. Number 1, I'll just tell you the names of the steps and then I'll unpack them a little bit. Number 1 is generate.
Mm.
Okay. Number 2 is nurture. Number 3 is create. And number 4 is ask. So generate, nurture, create, ask. Now, generate is about leads. Okay. We all know we have to generate leads into our business. But the truth is, you can find a way to do that that's pleasurable, that fits your personality. It's not a one size fits all kind of deal. And what we teach in our program is we actually help you work with your personality to find a way to bring leads in, because that's what it means. It just means bringing new people into your audience, into your world, and find a way that works for you, a sweet spot. But we do have to be bringing people in. You know, we're in business, so we need those people coming into our world.
And that makes a lot of people scared, right? Because they are so frustrated. They need to go out there and show their face and do lives maybe and speak from the bottom of their heart and be authentic, right?
Yes,
So
it's
all
certainly.
the mindset challenges are probably happening there.
Yeah, yeah, it's certainly one area that I experience people being stuck with. So, you know, part of what we do is just getting them unstuck and, you know, helping them to find the way to do that. As you say, so much of it is mindset, but also what I've seen, I'd be curious if you've experienced this, is when some people teach lead gen tactics and they're like, go and do it this way. Well, that's fine, but it may not suit the individual.
True.
And if it doesn't suit them, they're not going to keep doing it on a long-term basis.
That's
So,
I mean, personality is one thing and energy, but also something that you have mentioned earlier, the stage of business. And not a lot of people who teach how to generate clients are specific about for which kind of business and which stage of business is this tactic or strategy,
oh
because
my
not all
God.
of them are, applicable, right? For
Well, but it's so important because I'll give you an example. Say if you have a new coach or entrepreneur who's right near the beginning and maybe they know their niche, maybe they've signed a client or two, but they haven't yet had consistent clients, and they say, right, I'm going to write an ebook and set up a funnel, or you know, create a low ticket course and try and sell it and set up a funnel. That is a terrible idea for that stage of business, because in order to do that, you need a big audience to generate enough people to sell low ticket. People think, oh, because it's low ticket, it's easier. It really isn't true. So the truth is that for that stage of business, that is not a good strategy. A good strategy at that stage is to focus on what I'm sharing here, which is the 4 client creation activities. But that's just one example, but people get pulled in a million different directions. And, you know, it's like one guru is saying, oh, do this tactic. And they're so charismatic. And you think, oh, that sounds great. And they try it and it doesn't work for them because it's not appropriate for the stage of business they're at.
So personalization and like identifying what is really smart move for my business at my stage, that's one of the 4 keys, right, for clients.
Well, it is a key. I mean, it's not one of the activities, but it's definitely part of the whole kind of approach. It needs to be, you know, it's not like a cookie cutter thing. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you were saying about the first one. So what's the next one?
Shall I move on to the second one? So the second one is nurture. So this is actually a little bit of feminine energy coming in too, but nurture is the piece where, okay, you've brought leads in. Now, what are we going to do with them to actually convert some of them to clients? And a mistake I see, and I've certainly made it in the past too, is bringing in leads. And that's exciting because we're like, yay. But then they don't buy right away. And I just left them to go cold. And that's such a waste. And so many people do this. It's a really big mistake. They're not looking at, okay, who's already in my audience, who's already in my sphere that I can build a relationship with, that I can, you know, already serve through my content and giving them relevant resources. And we teach you how to do this. But how can I do that and nurture them now so that they move along the journey to becoming a client, and so that they'll say yes? You know, it's a shame that we're kind of conditioned to think that people are just gonna buy just like that. They're gonna come into our world and immediately buy, and usually
and love you. And love you.
The case. Pardon?
And love you immediately, and that's all. The community will fall in love with your offer at once. And that never happens, right?
Without us having to do anything. And it's just,
exactly,
it doesn't happen. So that's what the nurture step is about. And then the next one is create. So we're all creators. And so we're going to create client magnetic content. So we're going to create really beautiful targeted content that inspires your people. And this is not about posting every day. You know, some people just like post. Posting is not marketing unless it's strategic, unless you really conscious about your content, and your content should be client magnetic. It should have a purpose. So it's bringing someone through that journey, getting to know you, see you as the expert that they want to pay, and that they're going to come work with you. So I always say the job of your content, client magnetic content, is to do the heavy lifting. So that when you go to the 4th step, which is ask, invite, right? People are ready to say yes. And the 4th step, ask, so many of us don't do that one. I even have to remind myself about this. It's like, we have this idea just because they're in my audience, they should join the dots and they should know to come and work with me. Well, no, we need to invite them. We need to ask them, you know, would you like to come and be in my program? And you can do it on the bottom of posts. You can do it in the DMs. You can do it on calls. But we have to be asking and inviting.
But that's also part of the masculine energy. It's initiation, right? Which is, we naturally feel a little bit against that. But that's part of the sales structure. It's part of the sales process. So you have to do it. Otherwise, you are leaving money on the table, right?
True. And also something I'll say about that step is, when you've done the first 3 steps, the asking becomes natural. It doesn't feel so awkward. You don't feel salesy and spammy because you have nurtured this person. You have a relationship. You've already been serving them. They've been consuming your client magnetic content. So it's the very natural next step. And when you go through that with somebody, you saying, hey, are you interested in my program? Are you aware of my program? Would you like some more information? It doesn't feel pushy when you do it that way.
Love it. I love your process and the way you are describing it. And I understand that all this transformation is possible once people know their clients or their prospects intimately, right? Because otherwise, this nurturing and writing the magnetic content becomes authentic when you really know kind of what kind of dreams they have or what kind of pains they have. And many people out there are writing for some kind of artificial avatar or some kind of a marketing target audience. And they are not really like down to earth, knowing who their niche is. People hate niching, right?
Oh,
What's
I
your
know.
opinion here?
The bane of my life is, sometimes trying to encourage people to niche. But yeah, I mean, all joking aside, it is a foundational piece, because if you don't know specifically who you help, you can't create client magnetic content. You just can't, because with client magnetic content, it's about depth. It's about really knowing the daily life of your person as though you were looking through the window at them, and you can describe it in detail and what they're feeling, and pick a micro moment and go deep. But without that clear niche and that clear who, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And a clear niche, so sometimes people don't understand what that is, and they're super vague. But what I've noticed is when you do the work, and we can support you with this, both Maggie and I can support you with this, but when people do the work to get dialed in on their niche and their who, that's when the strategy actually works.
Yes, and everything becomes really like natural, and it falls into the right place. Tell us a little bit more about this balancing of, feminine and masculine energy, because it seems like we both are coming from very masculine approach, and probably majority of the viewers of this podcast has the same experience. What would be the recommendation how to discover this feminine part in you, and how to allow yourself to be soft, to be gentle, to be kind, and not whip yourself that you need to do more or you should be working instead of reading book or educating yourself?
Right. And, funnily enough, I gave an assignment to a client the other week, and I said, this week, your business strategy is going to the woods and walk, right? Because she was so in the doing, and she was exhausted. And I said, hey, and she loves to walk in nature. That's how she tops up. So I just said to her, look, what you need to do right now is just go and be in the woods and top up. I don't want you to do another thing on your business right now. So the feminine energy piece is so unique to each of us. But for me, in my journey, it did really start with just allowing some space. So getting out of that kind of urgency to do more, because I think it's the way our society is conditioned, but I used to be so in my masculine energy, and it's naturally my go-to, what can I do? So it's natural for me to be that way. The feminine part was something I cultivated. And so for me, it was like just maybe, the first step was stopping and just pausing. Yeah.
That's
And
big.
then
Stay still.
breathe, take a minute. And then, even just looking out the window, I'm looking out my window now, I can see trees and green, and just being in the moment, taking some conscious breaths. right? And then people have different practices, meditation, you know, walking in nature. I have a rebounder in my garden, and between client sessions, I love to just go and bounce on the rebounder, and it gets me out of my head and into my body. I think that's one of the keys, is like out of the head and just into the body. Journaling can be a very feminine process. It's anything that connects you to your inner being, to your divine guidance. Feminine energy is actually about receiving. You know, we think it's about giving because we talk about nurturing, but actually feminine is about receiving. It's about being rather than doing. It's space, creativity, collaboration. It's about the we, not the I. So yeah, I think it starts with just creating little moments of space in your day. Feminine rituals, you'll know because you come into your body and you feel your feelings, and that can be scary if we're not
Yes. That could be scary. I have a one client who is experiencing very interesting period right now. She is expanding really, dynamically. Dynamics is huge. And she noticed that actually she behaves in the business differently than she behaves in her family with her husband. So that relationship with her husband actually contracts her energy, makes her small. She even takes less space in the family and in the business. So her, romantic relationship has tremendous impact on the business. So we are working on untangling this dynamic to find the balance again, because then the beautiful union, all the successful entrepreneurs that I know and follow, they have successful marriages or partnerships where the man is supporting woman, cherish woman, sees the goddess, in her, and supports her in every business challenge.
Yeah, it's so important. I mean, I have just left a relationship a little while ago because for that exact reason, that I noticed that I was shrinking in the relationship, and it does have a knock-on impact into the business. So yeah, absolutely. I feel like, it is about being a whole person, and it's about, we can't kind of be these leaders in our business and then be totally disempowered in our personal life. It just doesn't fly. So this is kind of the piece around just, being the leader of your own life and having standards and excellence. And I think it is part of the feminine self-care to have boundaries. And so I'm excited for your client that she's doing the work to
I will be sharing more about this because this is fascinating, I think, journey for her, and to witness, for all of us, this beautiful transformation.
Yeah, and it doesn't always have to be leaving the relationship either. It's just coming into your power. I have a client who is married, and at first when she started this business and she was really growing in herself, and we weren't sure for a while if she was going to outgrow the relationship, but actually she chose to stay. It's a marriage, and as she has up leveled, he has up leveled. So it can kind of work both ways, but I think it's just to bring consciousness to it and know that it's part of it. Yeah.
And mindfulness. What you were describing before, speaking about, how we can step into the feminine energy, the relationships have different dynamics. And yes, it takes courage to step out of the relationship, but it also takes courage to stay in the relation, decide, or even allow to both partners to decide later whether they would like to stay or they would like to transform this relationship so that it serves both of them, right? And here I'd like to get your opinion about something which is very dear to my heart, as recently I experience more and more fun in my life. I just
Mm.
got back from some free time, holiday time in France, where
Mm.
you just mentioned people drink champagne and eat cheese and just relax. But we were also play badminton and some football, and there was some activity. So I started to invite more fun, more pleasure into my life. And I observed that it has tremendous impact on empowerment, how we feel in the body, simple stuff, right? What do
Mm.
you think about this, fun and pleasure dynamics in the business
Yeah, well,
specifically?
I think it's part of the feminine energy again. And what I notice for myself is that if I don't incorporate fun, everything gets very dry, everything gets very routine. It's something that didn't come naturally to me. So it's again something I work on consciously. But um, I notice that when I allow myself that pleasure, the trip to France is a great example because I love France too. And I haven't been since before COVID, but it is just like when you do those things, the energy comes through into your business. It's like for me, when I do things to top up my soul and just have pleasure and enjoyment, that lifts my own energy, and then that comes through in what I'm creating and sharing. So I think it's a vital part of creating a feminine energy and a balanced masculine and feminine energy business. Yeah, for me this year, it's a little bit different because I'm getting ready to buy a bigger house to live in. So I have an investment property, but I currently rent this lovely little place where I am, but I'm getting ready to buy a bigger property, and because I do property investing. And so for me, that's been kind of the focus this year, and I haven't been traveling as much and things like that. But, I notice when I don't. And so this year, it's been more about staying local and finding things
Mhm.
locally to do, little things that I can go and do. Maybe I go and take a walk and have a coffee, or meet a friend, or go where there are people and things like that. So I feel like it's a vital piece. Yeah.
Absolutely. For me, it's this year. It's about refurbishing the upper floor. So it's a bedroom and wardrobe and one of the bathrooms. And yes, there is a part of the technical stuff, the masculine stuff, like you have to buy the paints, etc. But I'm really looking forward the decoration, the little jewelry for the furnish. That's the finishing touch,
Yeah,
right?
that's the
That's
fun part, right? That's the
that's a
really
fun. That's the fun part, yes, and that's also the mindset, I came with the idea. My husband doesn't even know that, but I just share it with my friend over phone that my plan is to like prepare everything, organize everything, pick up the paints, pick up the details, organize the guides to do the work,
Mhm.
and leave my husband with it and leave to my summer house.
Nice.
And I'm going back when it's done.
Yes, I love that. That's very queen energy. I love that. The queen.
But before, I would never do that. I would be controlling freak. I
Mm.
want to check every day, how it's going on, whether everything is to my liking. So new things are happening, but I love this softness and kindness and pleasure and the energy of a feminine connection that you are speaking about. And tell us how people can connect with you if they would like to know more.
Yeah, so we have a lovely community on Facebook, and it's a group. It's called Do Business Like a Woman.
I love that.
Same name as my company. So you can go ahead and search for that. I'm sure that we can put a link underneath the
Yeah,
podcast
we will.
too. But yeah, we're on Facebook, Do Business Like a Woman community. And when you come and join us, you get immediately you can access some free training on the 4 client creation activities and how to do those to create clients. I've got videos about masculine and feminine energy in business. You can access all of that. And we let people promote in our group, as long as they also add value and engage, because I believe a rising tide lifts all boats. And so I love to give people that opportunity. So go over there, come connect, connect with me. I love connecting with you on Facebook, and yeah, get that free training.
I love you. I love your community. This is really very well packed with wisdom, not only knowledge, but wisdom. And that's rare.
Oh, thank you, Maggie.
Yeah. Do you have, Julie, any like a small, maybe practical tip for our listeners and viewers to take away from our today conversation?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I was thinking, which way shall I go with this? Because I could give something on the feminine energy, or I could give something on the client creation. But we've talked quite a lot about the different feminine energy practices. So I would say, just to make sure that they pick one and kind of add that in. But what I'll give today is, if you are looking to create more clients, this is a really simple exercise, but it's so powerful. So often we miss what's right there in front of us. So rather than letting your mind tell you there's nobody connected to me who could be a client, what I want them to do is get out a piece of paper and a pen and write down 30 names on that list of people who they'd love to work with, right? And the brain's going to serve up. The mind will say, you don't know anyone. There's no one. Just ignore that. Your goal is to just make a list of 30 names, and you can keep coming back to it. But there will be people on your friends list, on your Instagram, if you have one. Go back, look at your old emails, look at who you've met at networking. Have you connected with people on programs and things that you've both been in? You can come up with a list of 30 names. And when you do that, just start reaching out to them and saying, hey, how are you? Start those conversations. You can absolutely create clients that way.
Love it. Love it. So simple. And it seems like everyone has this 30 contacts in the network, right?
Yes,
100%. Love it. Love it. Julie, it was a true blast having you with us. We are honored, but I think that we need to wrap it up. So thank you very much for supporting our incredible and fearless women who listen to this show. And everyone, thank you, Julie, and thank you for being with us. Stay tuned for more very, very soon.
Thank you for having me. And I'm excited to share this amazing podcast. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.